Okay, we're back live, ladies and gentlemen. There is a criminal group of eugenicists in control of the governments of the world. Only a few rogue nations are under their control. Most of those are run by murdering killers as well, because most governments are run by evil. That's historical fact. So the evil globalists can point at those they're overtaking and always say, look, they're evil. But if you look at the bigger demon dominating them, you understand that that's a semantical trick, historical trick that they are playing. I have been going over the last hour or so over the New World Order master plan and what life will be like under them. And there's so many societal things happening. There's so many new technologies being developed. The globalists believe they need a worldwide tyranny in place to, quote, protect their holdings from super technologies that could easily damage their holdings or destroy the planet itself. Meanwhile, they hand out nuclear weapons. They hand out biological weapons. They engage in cross-species genetic modifications that could cause irrevocable damage to the Earth's biosphere on a daily basis. And so their rationale that, their survival of the fittest, since they're the elite dominating us, and since they got into control through social Darwinism, that means they have a right to rule over the people, and that cannot be questioned, that they're allowed to do whatever they want to us because we were so stupid we allowed them to. They believe that means their genetic material is more advanced, and so that they have a right of kings to rule over us. But they don't. I mean, I've used the analogy many times of cancer. Cancer takes over a body. Cancer kills its host. Malfunctioning cells, colonies of cells, spreading, metastasizing, sending spores out. And that's what this elite is. That's what elites do throughout history. They dominate. They amass enough power to themselves. They set up empires. They get abusive. They go crazy. They do horrible things. They seek self-destruction at a subconscious level. Many times they consciously admit it. They're very nihilistic. And they race through the body politic like a cancer. And there's no doubt we have government corruption. There's no doubt we have way too much government. There's no doubt now our government is openly run by private banks, and they are looting the entire treasury and our future holdings and the dollar's future. They are running up the collective credit card on the American people's back while telling us it's our fault on the news. And it's only going to get more and more serious from this point on. Again, they are going to organize a slow, controlled economic collapse. This is only the beginning. They are going to set up a world banking system where you buy carbon credits from them, where you pay a Tobin tax for any wire transfers or any banking. When you go to an ATM, there'll be a fee on that. You'll have to use an ID with cash. When you get cash from a bank or ATM, or when you make purchases, that will go in your carbon credit allowance history. That will go into your insurance, everything you do. The amazing thing is, it's all stated. That's what makes me so sad. This whole thing is stated. They tell you what they're doing. It's just monstrous. They're going to disarm the American people once they stage riots, and once they push Americans to the wall and the American citizens fight back. The crime syndicate is going to win battles, lose battles against militia people. Criminal elements, contractors mainly, are going to blow up police stations, shoot police in their patrol cars. This has been done in Europe to set up police state, and Asia, and Latin America by the U.S. People running it. That'll get the cops and military to rally around against the American people and get those that are against shooting citizens to gut up. So the government's going to stage pinprick false flags against their own people. They're also going to force police into positions to fight with citizens. That'll be real. We'll come back and finish up with this key area.
This Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
All right. I want to state this for the record again. You are not going to see the military roll into a city and declare martial law unless Congress was to try to impeach Bush or any other executive dictator the military-industrial banking complex puts into power. If you see governors say no, if you see the states say no, if you see the other branches of the government stand up and say no, you will see tanks roll in, and if it looks like to the establishment the public won't buy the president having Congress arrested, they'll just neutron bomb them and claim Al-Qaeda did it, Al-Qaeda did it. The way they're going to introduce martial law to the public is by food riots, welfare riots, because the checks will still go out probably. It's just they won't, once the 20-30% inflation compounded a year makes it impossible to live. We're about 2 years out from that. Could be even quicker. You will see burning cities and rioting, just like in Los Angeles in the early 90s when the police stood down and let the bad guys do that. And it was Korean shopkeepers that kept whole areas from being burned down because they stood up on top with shotguns shooting at people. And it will be citizens. The globalists, though, just like in New Orleans, they're going to send in SWAT teams, FBI, SWAT teams, leading National Guard and regular Army. The first people they're going to hit will be Korean shopkeepers, shopkeepers, homeowners out with shotguns. You're not allowed to defend yourself. In areas that aren't burned down, in areas where the looting isn't allowed to go by the citizens, you will see feds move in to stop that, sweep out and of course the law-abiding citizens will stand down for the feds. They'll be put in plastic handcuffs, put on the backs of flatback trailers. They'll be shipped out, and then the feds will step back for the burning to continue. Of course, that won't be on the news because they'll be controlling news coverage. The news will show you things breaking down. And then you'll have a few events like that with, Detroit burned, New York burned, area of Houston burned, area of Los Angeles burned, riots in other cities, cops getting killed. So we're going to have curfews and checkpoints and selectively enforced. That's already happening across the country as crime explodes. From Arkansas to New York and Illinois, they're having the National Guard do gun confiscations, door-to-door gun sweeps, knock and talk, where they come to your house and want to talk about your guns and want to come in and see if you have guns. We see that new federal policing system. CIA runs the local cities, the threat management, threat integration centers. And so they're going to sell the public on the military being on the streets in the name of security. See, first they were at the Super Bowl and the Kentucky Derby and Miss America pageant, troops on the news, troops searching bags on the news, acclimating you. Then it'll be for rioting. Then it'll set the precedent. Oh, look, they helped. Then there'll probably be massive terror attacks in the United States, blamed, of course, on Al-Qaeda, then on domestic groups. They're going to arrest white people and say, look, now you don't just trust the Arabs. I told you they would say this, and now they've been saying it. I told you years before. There's 5,000, there's 10,000, there's 20,000 white Al-Qaeda. They'll have guys in white vans shooting cops like the Beltway sniper we know is an inside job. Then they'll grab some patsies, hype up the fear more, get the police and military against the American people to sell them on just mowing citizens down. And to sell some of the citizens on that. It's all beta tested. And people have to understand these government plans because, and they also understand, I say government, this illegitimate corporate takeover we have using psychological warfare techniques on the people. You've now seen the private criminals take over all the banking and pay money directly to themselves. They have people that head up the companies that are being given the money, giving the money to themselves. Now, I want to start now with about 20 minutes of Zeitgeist, the addendum. Everybody started calling me about this weeks ago, and it's got a big buzz going, just like Zeitgeist itself. The conservatively had over 100 million views online. That's conservative. In fact, one could argue that Zeitgeist may soon overtake Loose Change second edition as the most watched film. Still doesn't have the same buzz, isn't talked about as much, but I've seen the hit numbers on it, and I think in a year or so, the problem is Loose Change, which is a good thing. I'm saying problem for Zeitgeist be number one, is that Loose Change second edition stays super hot. So, but the point is, someday it may rival as the most watched video ever. And it's got a decidedly anti-Christian bent to it. It's got some information that even the maker who I've talked to, he used our footage and unauthorized, which is whatever. He called up and said, could he use it for an official version? I said, whatever, man. The point is that they had to change some stuff. They got a lot of their stuff wrong. So 90% of the first zeitgeist was about the private bankers and the New World Order and all this accurate info. But the first of it attacks Christians, basically. And so I haven't been a promoter of it. But it has woken a lot of people up and got them to think about other issues.